Okay, thank you very much for being here. I'm Mariana, I'm marketing team lead here at ESMT Berlin. And today we are going to have the webinar breaking the glass ceiling. Sorry, I'm just putting our last panelist here. And there you go. So yeah, thank you very much for joining this session. Before we get started into the topic, I will just run through a very quick presentation about ESMT. I will just open here in a second. And in the meantime, I think we can do a very quick round of introductions. So Qiao, over to you for a quick round of introduction, and then we'll do the presentation.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mariana, to have me. Qiao Zhang, I work at Executive Programs Department at ESMT Berlin. So as a program director, I design and also deliver executive education programs. And at the same time, I'm also the deputy director of the team, taking care of the business development and the team development. Over to you, Yeva.
Thank you. And hi, everyone. I'm Yeva. I'm a full-time MBA student and ESMT, together with Roshni and Beatrice as well. Really excited to be a part of this talk and explore this topic more in detail.
Yeah, well, hi, I am Roshni, also part of the full-time MBA 2027 cohort. Very happy and excited to be here.
Hello, I'm Bea. I'm also very happy to be here with Yev and Roshni, my classmates. And I have a career in corporate strategy, but currently I am full dedicated to the MBA.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to share my screen to start the presentation. Before we get started about ESMT, a little introduction about Qiao, program director in the executive education team since 2024. She's currently the program director for Women in Power and other customized solution programs. Prior to joining ESMT Berlin, Qiao worked at Unilever in China for 5 years as a brand manager before she completed her MBA at IESE Business School in Barcelona. And during her last few years in Germany, she has worked also for Bayer Business Consulting, Amazon, as sales and marketing consultant. So now a little bit about ESMT. So you can see here on your screen, that's where we are based. So in the center of Berlin, you can see the TV tower from here. It's very central. We are located in this beautiful historical building. And we have the triple accreditation, what is called in the MBA world, the Triple Crown, that you can see here on the bottom of your right screen. We were founded in 2002 by these companies that you can see here. So business founded by business. And this is what we have to offer to our students. A modern and relevant curriculum with opportunities to tailor each program to your interests, a very international focus, so both on staff, faculty, and student body, we have a very diverse, very international crowd, and also with international options for all the masters and all the MBA programs, you have at least one international opportunity as part of your program, including in the online MBA. And career transformation. So we have a very strong career focus with leadership development, a career curriculum. And during the program, both master's and MBA, you can build experience with real world consulting projects. And ESMT was recently ranked the #1 business school in Germany by the Financial Times as well. We have a very engaged alumni community and the triple accreditation as well. Now an overview of the programs that we offer. We offer currently 3 master's programs for early career professionals in global management, innovation and entrepreneurship, and analytics and AI. And as part of our MBA portfolio, we have the full-time program. So today, all of our panelists come from the full-time MBA, but we also offer options for those who want to continue working while studying. the part-time MBA with residencies every 6 weeks in Berlin, the global online MBA fully online with a couple of in-person options, and the executive MBA for senior professionals. And now, for those who are interested in our upcoming events, we have a few happening on campus, but also online. If you scan the QR code here, you can have access to the upcoming events that we have. So just give 1 minute for those who are scanning right now. And the upcoming deadline that we have for all the programs is on May 17th. So if you're interested in applying, and in case you have any questions after this session, feel free to email us at degrees@esmt.org. So thank you very much. And now I will stop sharing the screen and give the floor to Qiao. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariana, and hello again. So I'm aware that maybe most of you who join are also interested in MBA and EMBA programs. Just to say, I also graduated from MBA 14 years ago. So I've been through what you are perhaps going through now. So if you have any questions about MBA, of course, how to make decision on MBA, as well as what's happened after MBA. So I'm also very happy to answer your questions. So I think back to our topic, breaking the glass ceiling. What makes today's discussion particularly special is you will learn later on that the diversity of the panelists we have in our virtual room. So I'm from China, and then Bea is from Brazil, and Roshni from India, and Yeva from Lithuania. So different cultures, different systems, although we come from this different perspective, but we have one shared question. What does it really take for women to rise and to thrive at the top? We need to acknowledge we have made some progress in the past, but still, if you look at the data, women still just hold about only 10% of C-level roles globally and less than 30% of senior leadership positions. So we are very much aware this is a conversation not just about ourselves as women, but also about systems, opportunities, the collective leadership. But today we're going to explore further what further is really about our personal journey and our motivation to this topic, and what we see as barriers, what we see that is in our hands to change, and what we need to collectively to collaborate with our stakeholders. But also more, we want to anchor on what are solutions, what are best practices, what have we learned in trying to break the glass ceilings, and then of course also brainstorm together with you participant, or all of you who participate in this webinar, to please give us your comments, your questions. So we really want it to be a very dynamic conversation. So maybe just start this by sharing a bit of my journey to this topic, why I said yes to facilitate the conversation. So I'm a Chinese by origin. I've been in Germany for 14 years and 2 years in Spain. So for almost 1/3 of my life, I've been in a way a minority in a culture. It's a lot of times not just one, the only one woman in the room, but only one Asian woman in the room. So I take really very care of how the environment is being inclusive to channel in different perspective. So after I joined ESMT, I also take on the Women in Leader, a Women in Power program. It was called Women Leadership Excellence, but I specifically reshifted into Women in Power because I believe we also need to have a say. By understanding rules of power, yes, but also need to have a say, and in terms of to rechange the rules of the power and of leadership. But to do that, we need to first sit at a table, at a decision table, right? So that we can start to change the rules of the game. That's why to help women to go on top is something that really I'm passionate about. So I would like to now invite my panelists and talk about their own story and their personal journey to this topic, and what do they see as glass ceiling for them. So I hand over first to Roshni.
For me, glass ceiling, I feel even as a kid, Like we were talking about before, as a kid, when you are in school, I went to an all-girls school. So there were certain careers and things that were just honestly never spoken about. I only found out about a certain things after I graduated from school and went to college, and where I met everyone from around the world and realized, okay, our upbringings were a little different. Um, and since I am from India, we have it's a very, very patriarchal society. It still is. We are fighting our way through it. But I still remember when like meetings or arranged marriages happen, they want a highly educated girl, but they then don't want her, or they wouldn't allow her to work after they got married. And that makes no sense. Because why would someone put in so much work and effort into being educated and doing so much and loving something and not be allowed to work after it? So it was multiple of these stories that really bothered me and still bothers me. So I'm very happy to be at this table to be able to brainstorm even culturally different things.
Thank you. And also kudos to your courage to come out, to tell your story and to bring your voice to the table. I think that's very important. How about you, Bea? What's your journey to this topic and how do you see the glass ceiling?
Well, I would like to give a personal example to talk about how this topic came to my life. So I was raised by my father and my grandpa, and although they are amazing people, they are two men. So I feel like when I was a kid, there is this lack of female representative in my life. And I think that two women specifically changed a lot of my path. And the first one was the mother of my best friend. So she was some kind of a female mirror for me. And she was the first person that told me that she believed in me and that I could reach to Brazilian University. So I came from a background when I was the first one to enter in a university and graduate, and also from a humble family, and she knew that, and she walked me through this path where I could learn about free and very good universities in Brazil. And she really believed in me and really was like by my side when I was studying and when I was researching about universities and get to know everything. So she was like my first step in a different path than my family had. And I'm very grateful for her, even though now, and I think that I will always be, because she really changed my path and my life. And the second woman that really resonated in me in my path, it was former leader. She was chief of a strategy officer, and she was not just a leader in activities and talking about my results, but she was really a mentor for me. So she saw potential in my work, in my results, and she was the person that showed me that I could rise as a woman and step into leadership, because she saw that I was usually on the background, helping others to thrive and not being acknowledged for what I was doing. I was never saying no. I was doing everything that everyone was needed. So she was the one that told me that she really saw a lot of potential in me and that I could learn that saying no, set boundaries was very important. And she created this space for me to go to analyst to a leadership position, and she really believed in me. I think that two main things really resonate in me in this story. The first one is that she really impacted me through my life, so not just on corporate world, but really in my life, in my relationship with my family, with my partner. But she also like go beyond just be a chief. She was really a woman mirror for me. And the second thing is that she did not just say things. She usually used it to do everything. So she could see that on me, but she could really be a leadership that I saw putting this in practice, to be honest, to say no. So it was very nice. And I think that understand that through my path was the way I saw how having women in our life is very important, because they are very sensible to understand what we need, but also help us to thrive. And I think that I recognized that while I was growing, and that's why I advocate for women in leadership, building diversity and inclusion strategies. So using my chair as corporate strategy to influence to have ESG and diversity and inclusion strategy in the companies that I worked for. And I think that this exemplifies very well why it's important to have other women by your side.
Wow, I'm really touched. If your two mentors, your childhood mentor and your work career mentor were here today, they will be very proud of you because you're turning out to be who they would like to, who sees the potential in you. You're really expanding to that potential. And I'm also hearing you're trying to also pay back to contribute to this topic. Thank you, Bea. How about you, Yeva?
I'm sorry. The Bear's talk was really moving. I would say is also very inspiring at the same time. I think I have a similar experiences. One of my best managers in life and mentors were also women, and I felt like the team's culture was really much impacted by how many women we had on a team or who is in a leadership position. And I always felt when we had more women on the team or in the leadership position, the atmosphere was very much collaborative, is supporting, lifting each other up rather than elbowing or overshooting or being competitive. So I would say that was my kind of a first realization when I felt like even the approach to leadership and approach to workplace culture was impacted very much of the numbers. And we also feel that in our cohort here at ESMT as well. It feels very much of a collaborative environment because I feel we have almost, I forget how much is it, 50-50 or 40-60 ratio. So I would say that's the first aspect. The second aspect is there were many points in my life where I realized that I'm crawling out of the webs of the biases that are actually thrown to me by society and not myself. The first one is, of course, being in school and seeing different examples of how, in school you have aspirations or future goals based also on what you're being taught and what role models you see in life as well. Let's say we have less women in STEM, we have less women in, more women probably in social sciences. That probably is also impact of what you have seen and I think this is coming from all the way from primary school as well, of who you see as a hero in the course books and things like that. And another aspect is I lived and worked in Dubai for 4 years, and that was a very life-changing and awakening moment also to see how different cultures treat women very, very differently. And I definitely felt that more so than, for example, in Europe when I worked in Dubai. The treatment and also the silent perceptions and attitudes that people have were very, very different. And I think that also all of this comes together into the point where I felt like it doesn't matter the way I carried myself. Did I have a lot of confidence? I didn't have confidence at all. I was being soft or I was being more outspoken. Neither of these I would fit the picture that I was supposed to be. So it very much felt like a double standard. It didn't matter how I carried myself, and I tried different approaches. I tried to be more confident, more go-getter. That didn't work. I tried to be softer. I tried to be more embarrassed. That also didn't work. So I feel like the confidence myth that we have for women is very much there. It doesn't matter how you have it or you don't have it. It's the system of perceptions that putting you in that place is not on the individual. It's based on the system that kind of like putting that out there. So just from like different areas in my work, and also I think the other aspect was quite interesting to me. I worked in UX design for many years. I was a career changer, and that also made me kind of realize that in a lot of industries, doesn't matter how society perceives them. Let's say, oh, design maybe is more female dominated just because it's design and it's not engineering. Still, the experts that we had in the field were male. And that kind of made me realize, okay, so as a woman, I don't have enough expertise to be an expert in this field and represent it. It's like more sort of like a hobby, sort to say, rather than being an expert. And I think you see that in many different industries. Would that be, I don't know, a Michelin star restaurant? Or would that be, and you know, like it, you always feel that you're falling into the double standard trap.
Wow, there's so much to unpack in the short sharing from you, Yeva. What I'm hearing is it seems this glass ceiling is not just hierarchical, we're saying at the top, but somehow it is also across different industries, how we actually see women are more and more women in this industry can give women, but also give society a different perception about whether women should, this already not a right word to use, but should or not be in this area. So it seems the glass ceiling is also breaking the glass ceiling of labels of industry, of areas, of territory. And this point of role model is quite important, coming also from Bea's point that we see how women are doing, and it's possible. It is also where we can go. So that's why perhaps women should be at the top or should be more present at different area. And then you also mentioned about this part of that you were in the team with more women or different perspective representation versus very single perspective. It's actually also research backed up that from McKinsey, for example, there's a report called Diversity Matters Even More in 2023 that is the result that the top quartile companies, the top quartile for gender diversity actually are 25% more likely to outperform on profitability. So what I want to stress the point is it's not just for fairness, the diversity is also leading to very necessary innovation and business results. So what are other aspects in the room regarding a glass ceiling that we talked about, hierarchical, we talked about different like areas. What are glass ceilings for you, and or where are the glass ceilings for you?
If I can share a little bit of our experience into the MBA, it's been very nice to understand better how this expectation from society still plays a role in my life and also in the other girls in the cohort. So I feel like sometimes we underestimate so much how much we can achieve. Uh, Others underestimate us as well, and I think that Roshni can talk about that on the analytics perspective. But overall perspective, what I see a lot is how demands on our class always stand up saying how they want to be CEO, how they want to have a nice career with a lot of money, and how I do not hear at all this from the girls of our cohort, even though we have spectacular like classmates. So I can see this playing a role on a day-to-day. So it's very interesting to see that although we develop a lot as society, we still have a lot of way to go. Of course, we are in a very privileged space. So we are in a very nice school with an amazing support and resources. And even though we can see these small things in our day-to-day. So for me, it's still like building this perspective that I don't need to stop only where I can imagine, but that I can go beyond that. And for me, this is playing a role as getting to know different women in different fields with different positions. So it's very nice, for example, to see Rebecca and Qiao in very nice positions at our school and understand that we can go beyond what is expected for us. So for me, this is a day-to-day exercise. I still need to get to know different things. I like to think, I learned that in a NGO that I work at, that it's hard for us to dream about what we did not know. So I feel like information and getting to know things is what gives me power to make decisions, dream even higher. So I would say that from my personal perspective and sharing a little bit of our class, it's about that.
I love that quote. It's difficult to dream what you don't know. So it's really to step out and to see different possibilities, to talk to different people, not just women. I think also men. A lot of men could be very inspiring for us, and learning their perspective, how they look at things, could also help us understand sometimes the rules of the game. So I'm hearing that the glass ceiling is also could be internally, right? It's how we put ourselves in a certain box, and how can we break that box and expand more versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I also,
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead, Roshni.
Okay, I was gonna say, to piggyback of what Bea was saying, was like, yeah, most of our professors are men, and that systematically we know ESMT is trying to work on it to get a more 50-50 of men and women for the faculty. But I do like how like we've spoken about a lot, is our analytics professor is a woman, and now our negotiations professor is a woman, because negotiations is where we have seen time and time again, and there's tons of research about how women constantly lose the negotiations because we don't know how to ask for more. We tend to be people pleasers, and to take care of people is our first instinct as women. So we are just like, it's okay, we don't need to get into this more. So we are happy with whatever, but we have seen time and time again, we need to think like a man and just go for it. So I'm very happy that our negotiations professor is a woman, so she can talk to us about much wider perspectives of how to go into these conversations.
Yeah, I was gonna say a very similar thing actually. I think what is in our power on a daily basis is to constantly being aware of the biases that society is planting in our head as a woman. Because when you look at the, let's say, young kids, let's say 5 or 7 year olds, for a male kid, they will say, go play, climb the tree. For a female girl, it will say, be nice, don't stain your clothes, be orderly, look after your hair. And it's like already from a very young age, you're applying a bias is how you're empowering a male boy to achieve whatever he can, but you're taming the girl. And I think that's also what I feel in myself, that I'm constantly trying to kind of like consciously battle in my head on a daily basis as well. And I think that also shows what Roshni said is really cool to see analytics professor or negotiations professor where they are breaking those biases that we have been hearing since being 4 or 5.
Right. So interesting point. So Roshni, your point about negotiation, also that's what I learned. It's more and more it's negotiation is not just about the head, the rational piece, but also about heart. How do you connect with people? I still think women are better in connecting with people, in caring, empathize, and this empathy can be a great strength actually coming forward. And then, Yeva, you mentioned about the topic also interesting of these biases, because I did implicit bias test with Harvard. There is an online version which accessible to everyone, a free version. And there it gives you different words jumping in very fast to just ask you to categorize, is it male, is it female? right? Some words are related with career, some words are related with family. And I thought I myself was someone who really root for women and career and whatnot. And then I was tested out as slightly, leaning towards women for family and men for career. So back to your point of how much the society, when we grow up, how those beliefs are ingrained in us that we need to always keep reflecting. Even in my design of the program, I also read an article is, are we designing our leadership program in a patriotic way? That we're teaching whatever leadership skills or mindset, is it diverse enough? Is it incorporating different kind of perspectives? So very good point about biases. I'm also inviting people in the room joining us. Leave your thoughts in the chat, your question in the chat. So what does glass ceiling mean for you? Where do you see glass ceiling in your culture and in where you are? We definitely have to also address the topic about Germany, right? So because we are living in Germany, I've been here 14 years. I think all of you also have a kind of integration period versus your culture, and must have some comparison. So how do you think Germany are doing on this part of equity, maybe also comparing to your own culture?
So one thing I have noticed about Germany, and this is not career-wise, this is just looking outside, is that I have seen a lot more fathers hanging out with their children, which is honestly it makes me so happy because that's not a thing I saw in India or when I was studying in the US. I like the dads are genuinely spending time with their kids. They're not just sitting there with a screen in front of their face, but they're like playing football or the dad is taking them on a walk. So that does make me happy because I do know like the maternal leave and paternal leave is very good here. So it gives them an opportunity to actually be with their children and help raise them. How it should be instead of it all being on the mother. But this is what I have seen immediately after moving here.
That's a very nice point, Roshni. I was also, when I was researching about Germany, I was shocked about how much it's like the country give this support for having those. But I think that one thing that I would like to highlight is that this morning was out the Berlin salary report, and it's made by a company called Handpicked Berlin. So they have more access to startups, I would say, but they are doing this research very openly. And we still see a gap between men and women payment. So they reported this year average difference of almost 18%, and the last year was 20%. So yes, I think that compared to years before that, of course, we developed a lot, but still have a way to go. And I think that this plays a role in what Roshni and Eva was mentioning about negotiation. So negotiating our salaries, our new positions, and everything that maybe as women we feel like we don't have the position for doing that. So yes, although we can see this nice difference, as Roshni was saying, we still have a path to go. And it's very important to acknowledge that because then we can fight for this. And also I would love to hear about Eva experience because for me and Roshni, we are studying here right now, but Eva has a lot of years of experience working in Germany. So I think she can bring a very nice perspective.
Yes, of course. So I think the most obvious experience that I had was when I worked in Zalando. I worked in a category management and specifically with a beauty brand, so skincare, hair care, makeup, and stuff. And it was interesting because, of course, 95% of employees were women in the beauty department specifically. However, the team lead of the team was a man. And I always felt very conflicted about it because it was a bit, I mean, it is strange that you have so many women and then on the charge you have a man, but at the same time, it's like it could be other way around too, right? Why maybe some of the male employees are holding themselves back because they also have certain biases pushed onto them. Maybe they are interested in this category, maybe they want to work there, but maybe they don't just because they don't think it's appropriate for them too. So it's like kind of, I think, two-way street or two-way problem. And another aspect was in Germany, when you work in a company, you can request for the report of the salaries in your role for male employees versus female employees. And when I found out about that, I requested that from HR just to compare. And it was also another interesting aspect because Zalando is, of course, a fashion company, right? In a lot of category management roles, naturally you'll have more women because it's a fashion-based industry or beauty. But it's still male salaries were a little bigger than female salaries, I can say. So that was very surprising moment for me. But I think that this is a good progress that Germany has, that the fact that you can request such report, it makes, I think, a good argument for it. But I think it has to be maybe pushed a little further because you don't see the years of experience. It cannot be, for example, let's say split into how much a male employee in the same role that you are on the same level of experience gets. So it's hard to compare and contrast, and it's hard to make an argument when you're in a workplace. So I see that there is a room for improvement there, but I think they are heading into the right direction in general. And also from, I believe, the summer this year, I think from August, there is a law that's coming into place in European Union where all the companies must disclose the salaries for the job roles that they're posting online for the job ads. So I think in general in EU, we are moving into the, I think, positive direction overall, because that will, I think, enable a lot of women also to just see, okay, what are the brackets and where can I negotiate? Where is the wiggle room? How can I do that? So that was like, I think my experience that I had in the workplace. But also I've seen also another side, like a lot of women that had kids after maternity leave, they got back to, let's say, 30 hours or 25 hours, not the full time. So I feel that also kind of strips you maybe a little bit when that compounds in the future, when you want to grow your career, maybe that can limit you certain aspects as well.
Right. So I think this point of data transparency is very important, and of course combined with our own proactiveness to ask for that, to raise out. So I want to share the light to Rithi. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. That in the chat, you said that in my career, I felt that younger male colleagues were given better opportunities, like more responsibility of leading a team, even when I had more experience and my team also had more experienced women. I just realized that we as women are not asking much or don't know how to negotiate and simply accept what we are offered. Yeah, I'm totally with you there. We need to learn how to voice our opinions, how to negotiate, how to bring visibility, how to also embody the confidence and authority that we are entitled. So the program, I also have the Women in Power, not just to redefine power, but also realize you already have power. You have certain tools already within you, apart from authority. Right? Even you're not giving that project lead or team lead role, you can still project authority and power in that situation. And another thought that I had when you're saying, Yeva, about as well, Roshni, about the kid, having the kid, I think this is besides about support of the father, of course, I think it's also a societal system support we need. For example, I come from China, where labor are relatively cheaper. You can hire somebody to take care of the kid, or the kindergarten is actually a longer time where you can enable the mother to go back to work, right, without worrying about who to take care of my kid. But here in Germany, I think that's still one one point to improve about how the whole system structure to support women to be able to come back to work faster and at their will. So we talk about this negotiation, this how we ourselves could become more confident, projecting more authority and all that. So I'm wondering in your I think already 6 months, around about 6 month MBA studies, right? In your past 6 month studies, what knowledge, skills, insight have you gained, which makes you feel like now if I relive my work life before, I will be different. I will definitely break the glass ceiling, more likely to break the glass ceiling. So what are key skills, knowledge, insights you've got in the past 6 months?
I think that I would like to talk about that specifically in an experience that I'm having with Catalina, which we are already mentioning here. Just to say that we are 4 months into the MBA, but it seems like a year because we grew a lot in the last few months. So it's very, very nice experience. And one thing in my background is that I've always been afraid of numbers somehow. So I studied administration, so I had to know to study the calculus and everything, but I never felt confident enough to discuss that with the financial, with the analytics team. So as corporate strategy, I needed to discuss that, to define strategies, and I always felt somehow uncomfortable. So it was very nice for me to have Catalina as a professor because she teaches the way the course is shaped is for us as manager to understand the data and to understand where it comes from and how this impacts our decisions. And that was very nice shift for me because I've always been afraid of not knowing exactly how to calculate it. And I felt that she empowered me to understand better where this comes from, but more than that, to understand how to look that as a manager, even though I'm not a data specialist. And one thing that I can say for sure is that I feel more empowered to discuss with this kind of teams that are usually male chairs. So the chief of financial officer, the chief of data officer, they usually are males. So yes, I feel more important for that, and I'm very thankful to Catalina for that. And the second thing I would say, the experience itself. So as Eva mentioned, we have a very nice representation in class when we talk about women. And being surrounded by there, it's very nice. So I think that there are a lot of other women in class that really helped me to look different for when I take positions. So I'm not going to mention the names because there is a lot, but there is some girls that really teaches me just by acting how they are, not like really giving me a class, but how they act, how to speak up for myself when I disagree, and how to be confident about that. So it's very nice to have this kind of mirror, and I have to say that Roshni and Eva are amazing in that. I know that Eva says that she's still working on that, but you cannot say that she's still working on that. She always question and position herself, and Roshni as well. And I can feel more confident just having them around me. So I think that on the lecture side, but also on the experience side of having these great women by my side.
Thank you, Bea, and kudos to you that you were willing to step out of your comfort zone into that data world and practice that skills there. Very good. How about you, Yeva and Roshni?
Can I just so when you were talking about being scared of numbers, so I remember maybe 9th or 10th grade, so in India, it's very common to go for tutorials after school, so you get better at whatever subject is in class. I remember during that time, again, I was not deemed as a smart person with numbers because I was the girl in the class. So after that, out of pure spite, I was like, I need to get better at this, and I did. So out of pure spite, I have managed to get a marketing analytics degree. And let me tell you, spite works a lot. So if you are ever scared, please think, will this person or this man be able to do it without knowing half the things we know? The answer is yes. So therefore, you can too.
Wow, that's a powerful example of how your belief actually can change your end results.
Yeah, my experience, I would say, is also very similar to Bea's. I always shied away from numbers, any quantitative sort of field, I would say. Excuse me. And yeah, I come from social sciences background in UX design and also e-commerce from Zalando. So when working in Zalando, I definitely felt that so much that I was lacking the knowledge of yeah, I mean, working with numbers, applying KPIs and work and stuff, and I felt like I wasn't supported enough in that role either. Um, so doing an MBA definitely gave me more confidence here, and I can also say I'm not sure what's the background of our attendees today, but you can do anything only if you have enough grit and motivation, and as Rajni said, spite. You can definitely achieve anything. You just need the motivation for it. The question is, do you want to? I would say. And I think shifting the mindset from can I to do I want to? So I think that was also like one of the big lessons from me in MBA in general. Yeah, maybe I spend more time, maybe I put more energy than my other classmates do, but I can definitely do it. The question is, where do I want to place myself? Which seat do I want to occupy? So I just want to encourage, yeah, people that don't have quant background either or coming from social science, definitely. I mean, that's what the MBA is for, right? Is to bridge the knowledge of everyone in a class at a certain level. And we definitely have very supportive cohort, but also supporting faculty as well. And I feel like ESMT also does a really good work during admissions period to communicate the expectations. What are the expectations? What are you going to be faced to? And letting you to make the decision, do I want to or not? Because I think that's the main question here. But I also, I think, gained a lot of confidence in just having the exposure to things like accounting, finance, things that always I felt kind of shied away from. But I think having a faculty that is very skilled as in breaking these down in simple ways and simple terms and walking you through it, but also making it very interesting. We have one professor that was giving managerial accounting, and he just made it like a fascinating topic to talk about that I would never really think about it before and how important it is. And I think if I was sitting now in Zalando in commercial role, I think I would feel very different of being able to have a conversation on pricing or conversation with analytics team and being able to pitch in or have different opinions about it.
Wow, I'm very glad to hear that. And also from executive education experiences, I really think we believe it's not just learning knowledge, because you can now learn knowledge a lot of places, right? You can go to AI, YouTube, whatnot, you can learn, but how to make the experience stick, how to make knowledge stick, how to apply it in real situation. We have experiential learning, so it's not just reading a textbook and lectures, just reading out the presentation. It's a lot of interaction, and I believe also putting you into hot seats and uncomfortable positions to challenge you, right? So that's where how we learn, putting ourselves into the learning edge. So that's really the philosophy of ESMT education across the board. Right. I want to also feature. I also want to say that I like your assumption now. Changing shift mindset is not can I do it? It's do I want to do it? So the basic fundamental assumption is I can do it. Right. It's just my choice. Do I want it or not? I like that very much. And so for whoever online today who are still thinking about, can I have this MBA? Just assume you can, and then just think about, do I want to have this MBA and study with with ESMT. So I want to shed light of this one question. We can maybe put on a few brains together to answer this attendees. Do you have any tips on how to better fight for opportunities such as promotions, raises, or a new job? I hand over to you first, ladies.
I can jump in here quickly from my work. I'm sorry, from my work experience. I think fundamental difference is, do you get a mentor or do you get a sponsor, especially in the workplace? And I had both situations, and the mentors are great. They teach you maybe how to navigate certain situations, but sponsors are the ones that put your name on the table. And that's where the main difference is. And I feel like it's different for women, maybe some, because of course in the higher positions you have more men. They're gonna look for someone that looks like them, that thinks like them, that had experience like them. They'll try to lift that person up. So I think women that are in the higher positions also, maybe it's nice to see when they sponsor other women, and I think I would also maybe try to do that in my workplace, to look for someone who would sponsor you, who would put your name on the table in the meeting. They will mention you, and I think we do that actually a lot in our cohort, and I really love that. But we spread the word about each of us through the university, who is good at what and where you should put the person. And I think that's also a skill to have it on its own, to scan the room and sit at a table and see who is good at what and where to direct each person. So I think that's I think the fundamental shift, looking for sponsors rather than looking for mentors, and also looking for allies and choosing and picking your battles. Some battles you just can't win, and you just can't do it. So you just look for people who think like you and try to recruit the circle around you as well.
I also would like to comment on that, because I think that before going to the MBA, I learned a lot about that, changing positions. So I'm very close to friends that are recruiters, and once they told me that the men's are always negotiating their salary, and they don't see that for women. So when they are going to new positions in a new company, and then they told me that this is very, very regular, and I was like, oh my God, I did not know that. Like, yes, none of my friends also tried that. And then since that day, I took that and as a personal challenge. Like, I would never go to a new position without negotiating what I felt that was fair for me. So what I did when I got a job offer 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I got in contact with a friend that worked in that company that was already a senior manager, and I asked him how he did that. How did you negotiate your salary? And then he told me everything he did, like all the possibilities. Like I could ask for more salary, I could ask for a signing bonus, I could ask for uh, um, a lot of different options, and that this like blew my mind, because I was just thinking, okay, I can ask for like a small percentage of raise salary, but no, he really helped me to understand different perspectives, and it was very nice, because unfortunately none of my friends, my female friends, could help me with that, because they never had done that before. So it was very nice, very interesting. And one thing that he said that stuck to my mind is that if the company chose you, it's because they see value in you as an employee. So don't take that as like, don't take as granted like the company is going to just have you for the salary they think it's good. Think what's good for you, and then you ask for it. And if they cannot offer, maybe they are not the place that really value you as a employee, and you should be in place that value. And it was very nice to have that from a male perspective. As you were mentioned before, Qiao, sometimes you can learn with others that are not our female friends. And now I'm always trying to help my friends with that. I want them to raise their salaries. I want them to get more things. And then also learn that from asking for promotions, asking for fair salaries. And it was very nice.
Thank you. Roshni, do you have anything to add there?
So not so much about negotiating, but I remember in my last job, it was a startup, and I was the marketing manager. So I had a couple people who were like right out of college, who had just, got their first job and they were on my team. And I was not part of their hiring process, so I did not know what salary they were getting, what benefits they were getting yet. But then once they were under my team, they came and asked me, and I was like, "Wait, this is not okay." So then I spoke to them about what they should expect and how to ask for it. Because they were like, no, they thought it would be rude to ask for more. And I was like, it's not rude. You're just asking for what you think you are worth. So if you think that's rude, that's not okay. It's not rude at all. It's just you're having a very polite but serious conversation. And then they did go do that, and they did not get a hike in their salary, but they got better benefits. So I will chalk that as win.
Very good. So I'm hearing from all of you it's about building network, knowing the right people, and also spend efforts to build network. We women, I think sometimes we seek for that perfection, as Yeva mentioned. We were kind of conditioned. We need to appear spotless and all that, and we want to do the things right, but sometimes forgot that it's actually people. A lot of time people influence the decision. It's not just the result. Result is very important, but you need to know the right people and let the people to put your name on the table, on the decision table, so that one day you can sit at this decision table. So with the last few minutes, I actually want to bring in this question from reading that, well, he or she, I'm not sure, you mentioned, you asked, why did you choose ESMT? So I also asked this question to you, why did you choose ESMT? And have you ever regretted this decision?
March almost made me regret my decision of getting an MBA, but it's okay. We got through it. But I was just about to type. But one of the two main reasons I chose ESMT was one, the fact that it was in Berlin. So we do get a lot of access, like first hand access to a lot of companies and startups and people here. So I've met a lot of cool people in many events hosted by ESMT and otherwise, which I wouldn't have gotten in the other schools I was applying for. And secondly, I really love the fact that it is a smaller class. So you get to actually have these relationships with people. Unlike, in CAT and HEC, where there's like 100, 200-person class where you really don't know the person sitting next to you. But we've all started having a very good relationship, and this way we can help each other out a lot more. So these were my two reasons. And yes, I did take my GMAT, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think for me also the size of the school was a factor. I like that more because you're closer to faculty, you're closer to staff, you're closer to your cohort. It brings different culture into it. And I also spoke with some previous students, but also with some staff as well before deciding. And it just came through that ESMT had a very different culture from what I expect from the business school. And this was actually my biggest hesitation as a woman doing an MBA is like, am I going to be in a room full of bros culture? And I didn't want to be in that room and in that environment. And from like just talking to people about ESMT and the staff and the previous students, I got the vibes that the culture was very different in the university, and they try to move away from this business mindset of bros culture of being forceful and being more holistic and softer. So it really does feel in ESMT that the culture of business is very different to what I think you would expect normally a business school to be. And I think the culture aspect was actually my number one in deciding.
Very good.
Yes, for me, it's the combination of two things. So the first one, picking up this phrase about Eva, about the culture, but a specific aspect about it that is the collaborative approach. I did not want to fight with my colleagues for first place. I want to grow with them. So this is exactly the environment that ESMT provides us, a space to grow together, not to fight for be the number one. And the second thing for me is how the university approach sustainability, because I have this personal commitment that I do not just want to grow, I want to help others to grow as well. So being an environment that give me that space to talk about sustainability, to specialize on that, not changing my career, but in my roles, how do I approach that as a leader? It's very important for me. So ESMT is very conscious about impact, society impact. So that was the two main things.
Thank you. I can only second that. The culture, the fact that it's in Berlin, such a dynamic city, our faculty and our envision to really create impact is a lot of among other reasons that you can have a really great, fruitful time in ESMT. So feel free to reach out to us. We are reaching to the end of this webinar. Feel free to reach out to all of us if you have further questions, you want to understand ESMT and MBA more. Thank you so much, ladies, for investing today's time together to explore this very critical topic. I know this is only one conversation. We need more conversation, but we also need more actions from ourselves, but also from other people to change, maybe generations to change the whole picture. So thank you all for joining and have a great day.
Thank
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.